Yeah, Connie, I can't imagine there'd be too many people upset if it was Prendy that came in and took over.
No, but I noticed the way Fiona is not putting herself forward for the job
That's
herself,
just a good point.
as a head coach, she's probably
I couldn't even get a ticket for the game, Quinny. Would you go in?
her management team probably are keeping a very low profile here. They have a strategy in place to take the job. But yeah, no, look, it's at the end of the day, I think if it's someone from the outside, this is just my opinion, it has to be somebody very experienced
Mhm.
who could manage, I wouldn't say a difficult situation, but a tough situation because you've got to try and there's a number of really good coaches in there in Prendy and Dennis, Mossy Lawler, George Murray is there doing the kicking skills, Andy Kiriakou. They're relatively young as regards their coaching journeys. I think Prendy is obviously the most experienced and he's an obvious candidate for the head coach role. But I think if somebody comes in from the outside, they have to have a lot of experience, a lot of miles on the clock for me, who can sit back and kind of assess the whole situation, player profile, and that dynamic of where where the coaches are at as well. So I don't think it could be someone inexperienced to come in and suddenly you could cause more friction or more issues or more problems than what's needed. The obvious candidate here is Mike Prendergast. He's been in the system now for a couple of years, a lot of experience in France. And again, I don't know because I'm trying to be respectful to him and not ask him and contact him and say, "Are you going for the job?" Or I'll see him at the weekend. He's coming up for the Ireland game. Maybe I'll probe him a little bit. But you've got to be respectful and like at the end of
Obviously.
the day, I'm sure without giving anything away. And again, I'm assuming that it's something that would interest him. And but again, you go from being an assistant role, and you notice, Fiona, it's a different.
Mm.
You go out and coach the players, and you work on attack, or you work on the defense, or you work on the lineouts or scrums as a forwards coach. You have a certain remit that you can kind of. That's all you need to focus and worry about. Obviously, your input and selections and all that is there. There's a bit more to it than just go out and coach the forwards if you're a forwards coach. But head coach job is everything. It's managing the whole structure, the schedule for the week, uh, type of travel. When do you travel? When do you not travel? I know people book the stuff and book the hotels and the buses, but you have to sign off on all
Yeah.
that because and Niall O'Donovan is the manager, so he would have an impact and that stuff. But ultimately, the head coach, he's talking about contracting players for next year, all that stuff. It's actually a busy time to be a head coach for any rugby team because usually November, December is contracts time, negotiations, who we keeping for next year, what's the structure like, who we talking to, who is moving on, all that kind of stuff. You don't let that run into February or March when somebody's up in at the end of May or June. So there's a lot to it, and so again, it's a personal choice. People have talked about Paul O'Connell being the assistant. It's a different role if he was to step in as head coach for Ireland or for Munster or whatever. Rog did his kind of experience of being that assistant for a number of years, and then took over in La Rochelle, and he's managing loads of people, coaches, fitness people, medical people, and under him, and then players. You need good people around you, obviously, but I've seen a few head coaches over the years nearly go demented from taking that role, from being
The
able to
age.
switch. Yeah, being able to switch off. It's a stressful job. So again, it's a personal choice. So linking Prendy to the job or anyone, I'd love to see him get the job because I believe he has the credentials, obviously, to coach and manage. He's a really good people's person. But then there's a lot more that goes along with that job. So who knows what way, what your own ambition, personal ambitions, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be applicants will come in and applications from good coaches around the place. And if he puts himself forward, I back him, and I think he'd be a great choice. Whether there's some talk of possibly a director of rugby coming in as well, and Declan Kidney was mentioned about someone who possibly come in. My own experience with Declan was, he was a brilliant uh, kind of man manager and really good at managing structures and people around him and stuff like that. You know, obviously since he finished with London Irish, he wasn't sacked, club folded essentially. Um, he's from Cork. He knows the setup inside out as regards, you know, what's required when you play Munster. He knows all the values and culturally what the way Munster is. So he could be someone that could come in and have some involvement. I don't know. Maybe Munster go and get somebody who's a director of rugby and then appoint a head coach type role from within the current coaching staff. So again, it's all speculation, and we're going to see someone is going to take the job, or someone's going to be announced pretty soon. And as I said last week, it's just Munster fans want to get a little bit of a lift here, whatever it is, and sign off on whoever it is, move forward and try and get the team back playing well again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Hopefully there'll be an announcement in the relatively near future. Just circling back to the All Blacks game, guys. Do you want
Sorry,
to
one thing I would have said, Felix Jones was there at the weekend, and again, I was having a laugh and a joke with Felix. What a CV Felix has. We don't actually know if you know what the situation is, and again, you know, with England, if it's going to last that long up to next August, he's contracted till then. If he became available, does he come in the mix as well? And again, he's someone that you know, could be in the running for some sort of involvement there. But who knows? I think there'd be multiple clubs around the world would be mad to get Felix Jones, given his CV and the work he did with South Africa.
All right, guys, give me a start of the week from the All Blacks game, Fiona.
I thought there was a couple of great performances. I personally know, I don't know if I'm pronouncing, I say Coughlin. Is it Coughlin or Colin? I'll get killed down in Cork for saying it wrong. But I thought I thought Ethan Coughlin was excellent. I thought he was good speed. There was a couple, just for a guy that probably hasn't played a lot of rugby, do you know what I mean? Obviously there's going to be moments where you want quicker ball or different things, but I thought his work rate around the pitch was superb, even making those a couple of tackles as well. Wycherley Finian, I thought he had a great game this week. Farrell, we've given it to him every week. We can't go again. But for me, and I think we chatted about it, myself and Quinny, I thought Kilgannon, you can see an X factor, his work rate, having come back off that long injury. I just thought he was absolutely superb. In Shane McCarthy as well, but Kilgannon is someone that I think should be this week's star of the week. Quinny might disagree. We'll see.
Does he?
No. Anything you've said is accurate. I think, you know, collectively, John Hodnett makes loads of tackles again. Gavin Coombs, loads of carries. You know, Peter had a big involvement. I start naming them all again, but I think all the forwards that came in, they really went, you know, right, got really stuck in and had good games. And it wasn't one of those ones where you'd pick people out and say they were very poor. They all played pretty well, to be fair. Take out the mistakes and you know, they stepped up to the plate. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Tom Farrell was really good again. Shane McCarthy, but yeah, Dermot Kilgallen and Ethan Coughlin was really good, and it was great to see Paddy Patterson back. You know, he brings a real zip as well. But Dermot Kilgallen, just some touches. You can see there's a serious bit of class there. He's going to be a big player for Munster going forward. He's big and strong and physical. So on his Munster debut, I'll happily, with your blessing, Fiona, and give him the star of the week. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. All right, just before we wrap up, just a few international bits. Obviously, it's a big weekend for the Irish men's team tomorrow. First, though, Emer Considine announced her retirement this week at the age of 33, made her debut for the Ireland 15 side back in 2017 after playing sevens before that. Recovered from some very, very serious injuries to score a try this year against Australia, won 14 caps from Munster, and just an excellent warrior and an excellent player, Fiona.
Yeah, look, and to come back after having a baby, and I suppose she got back in with Munster with us this season, was tipping away, was due to start one game against Connacht, and just got a niggly injury, so we pulled her. And to see her get into that Irish squad, and when she was given her shot, shows just serious talent. She was amazing against Australia. Then we saw her over in the big games in the WXV. You know, you think sometimes, oh, I wonder would they be, you know, because you haven't seen them play in a while. You haven't seen him play in that system, and just for her to go over and put in the performances she did after coming back from those injuries, having a baby, absolute warrior. And I was kind of shocked. She texted me during the week. I was shocked that she wasn't staying on, because I know they had that heartbreak of that World Cup in Dublin and Belfast. So a lot of the players were hurting a lot after that. And that was her only experience at a World Cup. So in the back of my head, I said, she's in now. She's going to push on and she'll get to put that to bed away at England. But look, whatever decisions were behind it, I'm sure there's a lot of full-time. Emer works, as I said, with a baby, very hard. And, going out on your own terms, I think, is one of the greatest things to do, especially after such hard injuries. She fought her way back, put in some serious performances, and is able to hang up her boots and pride. So fair play to Emer. What a player.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see her and her son Quayle on the sidelines roaring on Munster and Ireland over the next while, without a doubt about that. Ireland, New Zealand tomorrow night at the Aviva Stadium. It's going to be an absolutely cracking occasion, as all Ireland versus All Blacks occasions are. The team announced yesterday. Quinny, any major surprises in there for you?
No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty tried and trusted. Is it the same 23 that'll go to the World Cup in 2027? I doubt it very much. The age profile is high.
Yeah.
But look, for Andy Farrell, I think this is about getting some results and winning matches, and that's what generates funds in Ireland here. Truly, are a few that help the development of the game in all the provinces. So it's a big match, obviously. This time last year they'd beaten us in a quarter-final of a World Cup. Best ever Ireland squad going to a World Cup, I'd say, and it was huge disappointment. I think there's great character on this side, and that is epitomised by Farrell and his attitude and what he's done, and some great players as well. So yeah, there's 4 Munster players in the 23. I don't think we can argue and say that. Craig Casey probably can feel. I don't know if he has an injury or a knock, or was it just a selection, Conor Murray over a straight selection there between the two. He could probably feel a little bit aggrieved that he's not in that 23.
He seems to does that, doesn't he, though, Farley? He does pick Murray on the bench. It's like almost like a type of different style. He wants to come out and finish
I think it's horses for courses kind of thing, and Connor's physicality, his kicking game, and his experience is a big thing.
Yeah.
So maybe they're looking at the impact off the bench to hopefully, make good, calm decisions, and that they're controlling the tempo in a sense, because we know Craig is all about zipping passes and increasing the pace of the game. So maybe they're hoping that in the last 20 minutes that they're looking for control and to see how to win. Obviously, Gibson Park is so quick. So Casey and Gibson Park, not before anyone jumps in and says, Gibson Park is one of the best scrum halves in the world. Craig Casey's unbelievably good and improved so much, but they're kind of like for like scrum halves with pace and all that. Connor doesn't have the same. He's not the same type of player. He's an incredible runner with the ball, and his work rate, tackle, ability to jackal on the ground, kicking game, and so maybe that's the reason. Again, speculation from us, but it's a very powerful, experienced side. I think Ty Furlong not being there he's a loss. He'd be a loss to any team. But Finlay Bealham has done a really good job, and my concern would be on 2 fronts. The scrum, we had big problems in that World Cup last year. Andrew Porter against Tyrrell Lomax. They all weren't, correct decisions in my opinion, and I think a good few people analysed them afterwards. But he got punished, I think, in at least 3 scrums, Andrew Porter. And the other one is they're undercooked. New Zealand are in the back of probably 6 rugby championship games, a game against Japan, which was a much different selection, and then they have a game against England last week. So they'll be fairly battle hardened, and that's a concern. Ireland are kind of coming in cold in the sense of they haven't played a game since the second test in Durban. They all have played with their provinces for sure, but Ronan Kelleher undercooked, been out for 4 or 5 weeks with a hamstring injury or an ankle injury, was it? And Rob Herring sits on the bench. It's great to have them back, but he hasn't had any game this year, Rob Herring. So um, it should be a cracker of a game, 8:10 on Friday night. The atmosphere will be incredible and really intriguing one to see if Ireland can kind of get up to speed. Um, they should possibly win the game, but this is a New Zealand side that, even though, like, I go back to when I say improving, they could have won, possibly could have, and certainly were in the mix of winning a World Cup last year. They were very unlucky in that final. Sam Cane's red card, the performance. They were a whisker away from winning a World Cup. I think 12 months previous, New Zealand were in turmoil in a sense that they were losing test matches to a series to Ireland. They lost tests to Argentina, South Africa. There was obviously a change in the coaching staff with Ian Foster going, Robertson come in. Jason Ryan left the Crusaders to come in and try and I think he's having a real impact with their forward pack. So they have a stable kind of selection. This team is very stable, and there's a lot of continuity in selection in the last couple of months. And they've found a superstar, Wallace Satiti, in the back row. He's an incredible player. But look, Ireland. Then when you look at Ireland, that's me being probably a bit nervous, and you never write off. Like, we won 5 of the last 9. Is it against New Zealand, which is an incredible situation. Given there was so many players in my time that had never won, and obviously before never beat New Zealand. So our success in recent years has been good, even though we lost the big one in the World Cup. Um, so it should be a cracker of a game. There's some brilliant players in that Irish side as well. Mac Hansen coming back in. It's hard on Calvin Nash.
Elvin, yeah.
It is difficult on him, but look, Hansen has, he hasn't played a lot in the last year, a little bit undercooked, but he's a special player, Mac Hansen, as well. And Hugo Keenan coming back after missing the South African tour. The big one for me is no Robbie Henshaw, I think, and it's from an Irish and Leinster point of view, it shows that there's a lot of depth there and there's a lot of quality. Jamie Osborne, his versatility on the bench. But for the Munster players, look, I'm sure they'll have a big impact. Tyburn, he's back at number 6, and Jack Crowley is a big, not pressure, but because I think if he's playing his first, second, fourth cap, third, fourth cap, it's different pressure. I think he's pretty experienced now and comfortable, but I think there's probably a pressure on to get the kicking game right from him tomorrow, because New Zealand if you kick loosely to them, they're the best counter-attacking team in the world. So anyway, brilliant game, one to look forward to, and let's hope Ireland win.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fiona, should be an absolute cracker tomorrow night.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to it. I won't be asking Quinny for tickets anyway for that, or to sneak me in as these pundit sidekick. It should be, yeah. And Quinny went through it there. Some of the talent is unbelievable on that All Blacks, and just even having Mackenzie back at 10, you just don't know what you're going to get. With Barrett, I think he's tried and tested, but the style of play he has. Yes, he has some big moments, but Damon McKenzie is so electric, especially on that counter attack, his footwork. So it's going to be really exciting. But I will say that I was surprised at the age profile from the bench. So Quinny worded it very well, saying they'll be calm and collected, and I suppose their discipline will be very good coming on. But I would have loved to seen someone like Ryan Baird or someone just absolutely come on and blast it. But in saying that, these guys are tried and tested, deserve their spot, and it's going to be an interesting battle, I think. And hopefully Ireland get the win now. All the games I've gone to in person, Ireland have won, because I missed my flight. I missed the first test over when we were traveling over. My flight was delayed, so I missed the last, but I got the 2 wins. And up in Dublin, any game I've gone to it's a good omen. So.
Yeah, I think the only thing Andy Farrell has managed this group so well in the last few years is that's the only concern. It's the age, but I think this is one they really want to win, isn't it? This is the big one. I think we'll see lots of changes for Argentina, Fiji, and Australia. So yeah, they want to try and get a result here, and if you win it, it's all correct, and the impact off the bench will be correct. But I do agree. I was a little bit surprised that Casey, maybe Ryan Baird, weren't on that bench.
All right, just saying there, lads, that Jean Klein's been called up to the Springboks squad while we've been recording this. Ruan Norkia has suffered a leg injury, so Jean Klein, Munster man, has been called up to South African squad, and he'll link up the Springboks in Edinburgh, which is, I suppose, fantastic news for Jean Klein, Gwynny.
It is good news for him, yeah. But obviously it's him going back being a Springbok last year at the World Cup wasn't good news for Munster, and the Viking is going so well at Leinster at the moment.
Yeah.
RG, anyway, who it doesn't matter now, does it? But it's great for John. Obviously, it's John Klein, and he needs matches, and um, hopefully he'll have a big season with Munster and doesn't come back injured, whatever
Fingers
happens.
crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Final word as well. There's the big Fiona Hayes derby happening in the AIL this week. UL Bows against their former side, Ballincollig. Should be a cracker this weekend, Fiona Hayes.
No fighting on the sideline now, Fiona, or abusing referees or anything like
No,
that.
that was the last match.
We'll have some cameras on, at the weekend.
Absolutely. No, I'll behave myself this week. Yeah, looking forward to it. The old local derby. We're the only two AIL women's clubs in Munster, so it should be a cracking game. We were way to cook. We had a 94-0 win, so I need to bring them down for that because they're loving themselves. I thought they were brilliant traveling up north. So hopefully we had a good session Tuesday. We'll go after it Thursday and big game. And I obviously will be on my best behaviour up at the All Blacks game. So my coaching hat will be ready to go on Saturday. Not a drink will be had.
No puck will be out and on it. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode of the Red 78. If you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email at the rugby channel at bowermedia.ie. You can send Quinny or Fiona a tweet as well at Alan Quinlan1 or at FeeHays27, or you can tweet the show as well at Rugby Channel 15. So from myself, Rory Hagan, Munster Legends, Alan Quinlan and Fiona Hayes, thank you very much indeed for listening, and until next time, stand up and fight.